think I told you in a previous video that I bought a laser engraver. It's a low-end laser engraver, sort of testing out the possibilities, see if I even like it. But I bought also some leather. You can use leather, glass, wood, all kinds of different things to etch on. So I did this one. It was a piece of leather, very thick, and it was stained or painted. I don't know how they make it look like this brown, yellowy color, but it came that way. So what I did was I took this photograph in Alaska of this grizzly, and I turned it into a black and white and added a filter of different, I tested out a couple of different styles with a green filter, a red filter, etc. You can see how I'm doing it in this file right here. The object here is to separate the bear from its background, so white separates it out very nicely, and that's what I ended up using. I went and increased the contrast and just try to make this work. So using infrared completely blows out the background, but it was a little too much, so I ended up going with two different filters. One was maximum white and the other one I believe was green. And those are the two that I saved, and I tested those both in Lightburn. So now I'm pulling the two images one at a time that I made in Photoshop, recreated in Photoshop, into this program called Lightburn. Now Lightburn does communicate with the laser, so this is the program that you use. Most people use this. So it lets you open up an image and to adjust it, and there's a couple of things. Jarvis and Stucky are the two that are used the most, and I kind of start with those to see. But you can see I'm messing with the contrast and brightness a bit, and it's probably overkill. I don't need to do it, but just to give you an idea of what you can do here. It's pretty amazing. I really do want to get rid of the background because that's not really an important part to keep when I'm doing this etching. And I could have traced it afterwards, and I looked at that, but it just really wasn't a good trace, so I ended up just going straight with the image, wiping out the background, and you'll see that coming up.
Now I'm importing the second of the two images. You can see how white light the background is. This was the infrared image that I kept, and the background was green originally, as you noticed earlier, so it completely goes white with an infrared filter on it. That's just the way it works. It's a traditional style of photography. If you ever studied traditional photography, an infrared green turns white. And it is a filter that's built into Photoshop, which is exactly what I used. So now that I've got it in Lightburn, the adjustment it's kind of a given that it's going to fall off. And what I've also done is saved these for future reference. You can save any of your artwork that you create so you can put things into like a collage at a later date. So Lightburn's kind of a cool program, and it's very effective for doing etching or preparing etchings. And since I saved those two in another folder, I'm bringing them in together to make a comparison side by side. Now you kind of got to know what's going to happen when you actually do it burn, and I know that white's going to fall off, so the one on the right is, the one on the left is the one that I'm going to end up using. Now I'm just measuring to make sure that there's equal parts on the bottom of the extensions for the frames from these tobacco sticks. These are 100-year-old tobacco sticks made of chestnut, so you can still see the saw marks in them. They're very cool. So I just did a light sand, cleaned them up, and now I'm just making sure it's well balanced. Actually, it's a little longer on the bottom than it is on the top. I prefer an asymmetrical look.
And it's a bit challenging to etch on leather. It's a little bit different than wood. It doesn't necessarily lay flat, so I had to do some touch-ups later with a pen, but I overall like the way this turned out. This is also going to go in the cabin.
Now these tobacco sticks were pretty cool, so I made a mini timber frame birdhouse out of them, and on the back you can see a bear etching. Same bear, but different leather. This was a really soft, light-colored, supple leather, and I think it turned out absolutely amazing, and the birdhouse looks great also. At the end of the video, I'm going to add a link so you can see how I made this particular timber frame or tobacco stick birdhouse.
I'm also going to make a lamp. That'll happen later. Subscribe and hit the notification button, and you'll see when I do that, and I'll show you exactly step by step how I make my lamps. I've probably shown you some in the past if you want to look at my other videos. Anyway, so I'm measuring this all up, trying to make it even, and as long as it's even on the bottom, I don't really care, top, heavy, lower, it doesn't matter. It's rustic, and that doesn't give me an excuse to do things shoddily, but I like the way it looked. It turned out pretty good. I think it was 2 1/4 on the bottom, 2 inches overhang on the top. But these also have that live edge sort of look. I don't know if it really is live edge. I don't know the history of tobacco sticks. In any event, they have the saw marks still on them, which is really something I love. Now, I also sanded these down so they weren't as rough as they originally were after years and years of being, well, laying around. They're not only dirty, but they are rough. So I sanded them down so the frame wouldn't be so difficult. You can see I got a pocket hole in the back there. That's how I'm going to put these guys together here. I'm showing you how I make those pocket holes. So after I assembled the frame, I sized it up and made sure it was going to fit this etching that I did perfectly, and it did. So now I'm looking for fasteners to attach that leather to the back side, and I went with these little brass screws, and I don't know, it seems to be okay. I put them in the corners and at the edges, and it held up okay. And then I put one of those sawtooth hangers on the back to finalize it, but that's it, and this is going to go in the cabin. I think it's pretty cool. Fits in the cabin too. Here are a few more etchings that I've done with the laser etcher burner. And I've used leather, I've used wood, I've used glass, I've used mirror, paper. There are so many varieties, metal. There's so many varieties of things you can use. It's kind of an interesting process. I think I like it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, even share. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next week.